Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to 2CTV, your global news channel. Lebanon has a new president. The new incoming administration is already making things difficult for Hezbollah and the Islamists. The militant part of the Hezbollah organization are already moving their infrastructure from the southern part of the country. So over the last couple of days, there's been a lot of conversation about the new incoming government. The new president, the new Christian president again, has made his new plans to officially end Hezbollah and disarm this organization. There's been a lot of promises back in the day as well, every single time you have a new president. But this time, obviously, there is more confidence, mostly because they know that the infrastructure of Hezbollah is gone, and they can actually do it with full backing of the West and Israel and everybody else in the region, including the new Syria as well. There's been a lot of propaganda about the new Syria with the new government saying that, oh, we are now moderate Islamists. Of course, don't fall for that nonsense. It's not really true. But the Christian leadership of Lebanon, the Lebanese government, are going to be making the robust move. So we're going to be talking about what's going on. Of course, if you're watching this live, we're going to get your reaction live as usual. We're talking about, obviously, Joseph Aoun. And now, obviously, he's Christian. It's not really a surprise, but his leadership is now helping the other Christians in Lebanon to also rise up. And those who had to evacuate their residence because, of course, the IDF were hitting, they seem more confident about the future of the country. The new president has said that the era of Hezbollah is over. The terrorist group will be disarmed. Now, as I said, there have been promises back in the day from the leadership of the Lebanese government in the past, but this does seem different. There seems to be more confidence. And let's not forget, Joseph himself is a strong figure because he's not your typical politician. He was a chief of the army. The man has street smarts. The man doesn't take BS. And he does have a full backing of the West, which does help him. But there is a bit of an issue because there's some skeptical people in the region who would probably end up seeing him as a bit of a pushover. But perhaps that's not really the case. Once again, the new president is a Christian who's also been helping in recent weeks and months the Christian community in Lebanon, especially with the battles that they've had, especially when the Israeli side have been doing their counter-terrorism operation. It has been difficult for a lot of people in Lebanon as well in terms of the local residents who had to evacuate their own neighborhoods. But things are definitely changing. Now, when it comes to this election, the election obviously took place 6 weeks after the ceasefire agreement that happened between the Hezbollah of Lebanon and Israel. Now, which obviously weakened Hezbollah, we do know that. Under this agreement, the Lebanese army, now led by Aoun, is to play a key role in deploying soldiers in southern Lebanon as Israeli troops withdraw. Now, the IDF have continued their counterterrorism operation despite the ceasefire. Part of the agreement was, if you see any sort of maneuver from Hezbollah, both the Lebanese army and the IDF are free to hit. And over the last few weeks, we've seen the IDF hitting them a number of times, including last night and today. The attack in Lebanon targeted Hezbollah weapons depots that were left unaddressed. A security source revealed that Israel, through the American mechanism, urged the Lebanese army to act. After the deadline passed without response, the IDF Air Force took action. Now, all this stuff has now been backed by the new president. One thing is about, obviously, the new incoming administration, but it's also about what's going on with the Islamists. It's absolutely fascinating, the reaction we're getting, including the son of Hassan Nasrallah, the original badass leader of Hezbollah, the man who was so brave that he was hiding in a tunnel, in a bunker all this time, and he still couldn't survive a bunker. His son has come out to say, guys, please don't kill me. I'm not going to get involved with politics. I'm not going to get involved with Hezbollah. I'm not going to do anything terroristy. I'm just going to do my teachings. I'm going to focus on religious studies. Don't worry. I'm not my dad. Everything is fine. Let's go to him. There's subtitle.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. من الصفات الجميلة لسماحة السيد رضوان الله تعالى عليه وكله جميل أنه كان إنسانا واقعيا لاحظت في الفترة الأخيرة سقفا عاليا للتوقعات بالنسبة إلى شخصي، فقررت أن أصوب هذه التوقعات إلى ما هو واقعي. أنا طالب علم، وتكليفي بالنسبة إلي هو ما طلبه مني سماحة السيد، التفرغ التام لطلب العلم. وأنا وبحمد الله عز وجل ما زلت أتابع دراستي الحوزوية. سأكون إن شاء الله بخدمتكم في المجالات التي تتناسب مع دراستي، يعني في مجالات الإعلام والتبيين والثقافة. ودوري في هذه الميادين هو كجزء من مجموعة المبلغين والإعلاميين، نعمل يدا بيد لسد قدر المستطاع من الفراغ الذي تركه استشهاد سماحة السيد. أما في الميادين الأخرى مثل السياسة والعسكر وغيرها، يوجد متخصصون هم أهل لذلك يعملون قدر المستطاع على سد الفراغ أيضا من جانبهم. وفقنا الله عز وجل لحمل نهج وفكر سماحة السيد، وأولا وآخرا لتحصيل رضا الله عز وجل.
You're so terrified. Please don't kill me. I'm not going to be a threat, guys. Everything's fine. I'm just seeking knowledge. I hope he doesn't seek knowledge too much because obviously, as someone who's he's been focusing on the Islamic ideology way too long since he was born, too much knowledge might actually mean that he might he might realize the truth about Islam. That's too much knowledge, guys. He doesn't need to know all the truth, right? So don't worry about him, apparently. He's going to focus on being a cleric and it does religious studies. He doesn't use pages or walkie-talkies. Having said that, we're going to have a new prime minister as well in Lebanon. This is going to be quite interesting because of the background of the person who's been vetted now. This is kind of hilarious what's going on right now. Nawaf Salam, who's the head of the International Court of Justice, has now gained enough support from the MPs in Lebanon to become the next prime minister. So Hezbollah are having a full-on meltdown because they know Salam doesn't like them anyway. There's been a much of a pressure to make sure there's a bit of a problem, by the way, because it's kind of good news. If you don't like Hezbollah, this is good news. The bad news is there is a lot of Western influence here. There's way too much Western influence, and I don't like it. Both the new president and the new incoming prime minister, probably him, they are fully backed by the globalists. So it doesn't really... I know that certain parts of the region, these sort of countries and groups, they kind of need the Western support. But there's a line, there's a boundary. You don't want to become an accidental puppet. That's the problem. You have to focus on making Lebanon great again. You need a bit of a backing, but not necessarily in terms of what's going on with these elections and essentially the Western side influencing it. So all these things are going to be making things much harder for the Islamic Republic of Iran to create a new proxy. With Hezbollah going, there is not going to be any opportunity for the Islamic Republic to be able to create new infrastructure, because Hezbollah took decades to get to this point. It wasn't easy. I mean, it was created by the Iranian regime, trained by the Iranian regime, funded by them, and the whole thing has completely come crashing down. They've also lost Bashar al-Assad. That's not good news for them. I mean, the loss of Assad is kind of good and bad, because obviously you got the Al-Jilani and all the other Sunni Islamist nutters in place now, who are claiming to be moderate, but they're not, obviously. Do not believe whatever the new Syria is saying. But Gaza... There is an imminent hostages deal, which could be within the next few minutes, which could be not tonight, tomorrow maybe. But they've said around 30 hostages could be released. But they have said that includes dead and alive. So we don't know exactly who, in terms of the status of each individual hostages, but the focus is going to be on dismantling the last remaining parts of Hamas. Hezbollah and Lebanon, they have their own fights, obviously, and Hezbollah is going. There's no way they can survive this now. They have to go after Naim Qassam and all the other... They're technically the leadership of Hezbollah. You can't... I don't really want to give them credibility of call them leaders of Hezbollah. They don't know what they're doing. They don't have anything. They don't even have pages anymore. They can't even communicate with each other. It's embarrassing. So... I feel sorry for them. I'm embarrassed on their behalf. So that's going on. There is so much to look forward to, but again, there is going to be a tough situation for the new Lebanese government. Now, First super chat, thank you very much, saying Godspeed Maya and Godspeed the Christian Lebanese. Absolutely. And Mark Farley says, new haircut, the new James Bond 2025. Don't think this is the James Bond haircut, but yeah. Barbara Davis, thank you, Barbara, saying he's basically said, I won't physically do anything, but there are others under my name that will. I love how he said there are those with relevant expertise and knowledge that could do you don't need knowledge to do politics in Hezbollah. You just need to know how to shoot a gun. It's not that difficult. It's not rocket science. You're not in charge of the treasury in the United Kingdom. Like, why am I encouraging this idiot to join Hezbollah? Rouser Head Teacher says, if the Christians over there can reclaim their country, then perhaps we can do so too. The thing is, countries like Lebanon and Iran, they had to go through the dark ages before they wake up. They had to go through, and even obviously most parts of Syria as well. They had to go through what's been going on. And Turkey's going through that now with Erdogan. And this is just the beginning of Islamization of Turkey again. All these things will take time. Lebanon is still not fully saved. There's going to be challenges. You know, the new president will say certain things. You know, and he's got the expertise when it comes to the military. But it's not easy. So, but they can do it because they've already gone through the dark phases. Again, just like the Iranian people as well. Now, she says, what's embarrassing is Scott Ritter, who's now forced to eat his words. Yeah, it's probably best not to listen to these people who are with their predictions. Rohini says, Lebanon originally was Christian, and hope as remain as a Christian country. Yeah, thank you so much. That's correct. Syria is still in dark ages. Yeah, they haven't come out yet. So Syria is going through a different level of dark ages right now, which is very, very sad. And actually, I do put most of the blame still on Assad, because Assad has on the surface, just because he was against the Sunni terrorists doesn't mean he was against all Islamism. He was claiming to be protecting churches while imprisoning Christians in Syria. It was all a facade. It was all supposed to be just on the surface propaganda. Say, look, I'm protecting the churches, the buildings, but the Christians can go to prison. That's one issue. Secondly, he was saying, yeah, I'm against Islamism and ISIS, but I would support the Shia Islamists. He didn't do enough as a dictator to keep his country stable. Stable for the sake of stability is also not right. Stable and healthy. So eventually, the whole thing came crashing down. Doesn't mean the new guys are the good guys. Definitely not. They're worse than Assad. They're a bunch of nutters. But he had an opportunity to keep his country protected. The same criticism goes to the Shah of Iran, the last Shah of Iran who left in 1979. It was his responsibility to keep his country safe. He didn't see the threat coming because he was focused on the communists. When the Islamic side, backed by CIA and France and MI6, came, he realized it was too late. He didn't want to get his army to shoot his own people. He was a nice man. He ran away. But he should have seen it coming. And his government, well, successive governments should have seen it coming. Now, super chat from Vinny King saying, costing me more than a TV license. What is truth's worth it? What's costing you more than... Have you joined 2TV Plus or something? Are we more than TV license? I think we are, right? It's worth it. Anyway. What else do we have? Lou says, why is Israel negotiating from weakness? Maybe 1-for-1 or hopefully less. Pick the prisoners that they release. I've been too critical of the Israeli government's approach to these negotiations. Anyway, it's... They're under a lot of pressure, obviously, from especially law people in Tel Aviv. But the Israeli government continued to make concessions, which is not really a good sign. And Mossad, with the help of... Well, the IDF, with the help of Mossad, were supposed to be able, at this point, to find and locate the remaining hostages. That hasn't happened. It's not easy, I know, because there's still tunnel networks going on in different parts, and they are holding him in residential areas. So, but doesn't mean that you have to completely give in to the pressure. And of course, every single life matters as well in terms of the hostages, but doesn't mean you have to release, for example, 3 per one. 3 prisoners per one hostage. It's not really. I mean, especially the first hostages deal that happened. Iran is next to rescue their country from the Islamists. So, I mean, that's already on the table now. That's already happening. It's just a matter of timing. So, in terms of the wave against Islam, Iran is going to be leading that. Is already leading that. Obviously, the Iranian culture were never Islamic in that sense. There was occupation after occupation. They kicked them out. Then they came back in the 70s. And the issue with the Iranians is there is a rise of the Christianity, obviously, in Iran, massive rise of Christianity. The rest of them obviously are secular. About 25-30% of Iran are practicing Muslims, so that's a minority, which is kind of getting close to the rate of the Islamic side in Western Europe. So it's at this point 1/5 of younger people in the United Kingdom are Islamic. So that's going to go up and up and up over the next few decades. That's a fair point. Christians should be in Lebanon and the Muslims should be in Syria. That's the right solution at this point, considering I don't think Syria is going to be liberated anytime soon from these guys. I mean, I don't want to say that because there's still a lot of good Christians in Syria who also deserve life and freedom, but they're not getting any support. So it seems like Syria has been abandoned anyway. But Lebanon can be helped, as long as it's not really with too much influence of CIA. So. Catherine says, I believe that Hamas have moved the hostages to Egypt, and that's why the IDF can't find them. But if that is actually true, and if it gets proven, there's a whole new international crisis for Egypt and the Egyptian government. And obviously, the Israeli side will be very keen to expose that. So if they find proof, they will definitely expose that. We'll find out what is going on. But we are focused on obviously continuing our work as your global news channel, and with your support we will continue this. Of course, if you want to get something out of this channel, you can join 2C TV Plus, 50% off, a limited offer. Use the promo code WIN50 and go to 2c.tv for annual subscriptions. Sammy Woodhouse and Stephen Prince, our documentary makers, have today started the filming for our next documentaries. We've got 2 new documentaries coming in over the next few weeks. So hopefully it's going to be great. One of them is going to be about grooming gangs, and the other one is going to be about our veterans, essentially, obviously army veterans, and how they've been abandoned. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Maya 2C, and we are the media.